Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. That's right. It's time for the Eddie and Webby Podcast. Yo, I'ma bust out some theme song action for you. Check it out. The Eddie and Webby Show is the place to be. They're talking about beer and pickleball and technology. So if you didn't know, now you know. 'Cause it's time for the Eddie and Webby Show.
On today's episode, Eddie and Webby swim with dolphins. This is the Eddie and Webby Podcast.
Come on. Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Webby, not Eddie.
And I'm Eddie, and this is our 36th podcast.
Oh, yeah, episode number 36. And something I just realized, Eddie, we've done over 10 live episodes now. Did you realize that?
I did not realize that, but now I did realize that. Wow.
It's
10?
crazy.
Yep. And we're still on the air. They haven't shut us down yet.
Yeah.
But we have a great show for you guys today. We are live on Facebook. We're live on Twitch for the one person that cares. Twitch Chris, maybe you're out there, maybe you're not. We are live on YouTube, on the Eddie and Webby YouTube page, as well as on the Pickleball Kitchen YouTube page as well. Our guest was brave enough to let us stream to his page as well. So, yes.
Nice.
As you guys know, this podcast is meant to be interactive. So go ahead and throw your comments in Facebook and YouTube. Any questions for us, any questions for the guests throughout the show, we definitely want to interact with you. And then one reminder, stay tuned at the very end of the live stream. We are going to be doing our normal closeout, but we're going to be coming right back on the same stream. And we're going to be doing another episode of Dinking Around with Eddie and Webby.
Oh, yeah, that was super fun. I had a great time with that. So let's keep it going.
We're going to keep it going. And just so you guys know, if you want to actually come on the show and you have a smartphone with a good camera, a good internet connection, I guess you could also use a laptop with a good camera as well, and preferably some earbuds or headphones with microphone, let us know, because there's a chance we could actually bring you onto the show.
Yeah. Join us live on the air.
Yep. You never know what's going to happen on that. But we have a super exciting show, as I mentioned before. But before we get into any of that, Webby, what's going on in Twitter?
Ah, yes, Twitter. Let me go ahead and pull Twitter up. It has been blowing up more than ever lately, and that is very exciting. And I've got Twitter up as we speak. And let's see what we've got here. Here's a comment from Clark Kentrick Lamar. At Eddie and Webby, episode 35 was good, but why did Katie's audio keep cutting out? You would think after 34 episodes, you guys would have learned how to have good audio quality. Yeah, you would think that, wouldn't you?
You would think that. Sometimes, though, if you don't have like a headset and you're just using your laptop or smartphone audio, it doesn't sound as good.
Yeah, we're doing this live. Sometimes things happen real quickly, and sometimes our guests might not be able to find headphones or earbuds quickly enough. But we roll with it, and I still think it was an awesome episode. Katie was a great guest. Yep. But anyways, thanks for that comment there, Clark. Mm-hmm. Here's another comment from Fart Reynolds. Eddie and Webby must be delusional to think people actually want them to do a second podcast, let alone hear them talk about themselves the entire time. One podcast is already more than we need. Ouch.
Yeah. We appreciate the feedback, good or bad, Fart, but we're going to keep doing it because you know what? If Webby and I are having fun and nobody else is watching, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I'm having fun, so I'm going to keep doing it. So Fart, you can just don't tune in. You don't have to tune in.
Right.
People act like we force them to tune in. You do not have to tune in.
Right. Yeah, Fart, knock it off.
Let's do yeah, seriously. But let's do one more Twitter comment here. Here's one from Dwayne Gretzky. Eddie and Webby, That was a great interview with Katie McKee. I'm glad she didn't get injured during the show, LOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad too.
Yeah, she shared a lot of the injuries she's had and the fact that she's a little bit injury prone right now. So she made it safe through the entire episode without getting injured. That's a win in my book.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was very glad she did not get injured during our show. She had quite an impressive list of injuries there, and I don't think she even got to half of them while she was on the show with us. But yeah, awesome episode. She was a great guest, and thank you everybody for the Twitter comments.
Yes. Well, before we bring our guest on, as you guys know, we shortened our beer segment a little bit, but we still want to enjoy a beer with each other during the podcast. It's kind of tradition for us. So, Webby, what beer are you going to be drinking today?
Man, I am super excited about this one. It was pretty much like a holiday last week because of the release of this beer, and I am proud to present the beer that I will be drinking, which I just so happen to have right here. And it is from Founders Brewing Company, and it is called KBS. Oh, yeah.
Nice. So that just came out last week?
Yeah, it just got released last week. This is that the label says highly acclaimed KBS, a flavored stout. It's good for everything, and flavored stout. Well, I can't really read the label right now. It's hard to read. So, but I'm sure it says a lot of good stuff, and I'm super excited about this. Everybody usually loves this beer. It's great for people who love stouts. It's a very strong and very big beer. So hopefully I can get through the show without it affecting me too much.
Or for our sake, maybe it will. Well, good. Well, I'm excited for you to drink that. I actually went the complete opposite of a dark, high-octane beer. And I went with what I consider to be a good beer to drink when you're out on the boat, maybe, when you're out in the sun for a long time.
Okay.
And it's from our friends over at Cigar City Brewing. And the beer is called Lager. That's it.
Nice.
Just called Lager. So I've had it before. It's a decent beer. You know, I've never had anything from Cigar City that I don't like. And is, you know, usually I'm kind of a hop head or a stout kind of guy, but sometimes I like to appreciate the quality of a nice lager, and I'm hoping this beer does not disappoint.
And for all of those beer glass snobs out there, I'm using a nice Founders Brewing. What is this? Is this a tulip style glass?
It is a tulip style glass. Yep.
Yeah. And so I've heard that is the better type of glass to use rather than the pint glass that I normally use.
Yep. It helps you get the full effect of the beer, aroma, flavors, all that good stuff. It warms it up better.
Ooh. And this does have great aroma.
Yes. Well, I say without further ado, we bring our guest on. What do you say?
Yeah, I think that sounds like an amazing idea, and I think we should do that.
Cool. Well, our next guest, he writes about pickleball. He plays pickleball. He's a pickleball instructor. He has a website, YouTube channel, and podcast dedicated to pickleball. You guys sensing a theme here? Please welcome the creator of the Pickleball Kitchen, Barrett Kinchelow. What's going on, Barrett?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure, man. We've been excited to have you on because Webby and I are actually both pretty big fans of not only your podcast, but your YouTube channel as well, and just your whole entire website. So we're really looking forward to this.
Good. I'm glad. I appreciate that. And I tell you, I myself have a nice, cold, crisp, luxurious glass of fountain water. So be glad to join in with you guys.
Yeah. Cheers.
Nice.
Oh,
cheers.
Amazing. I can taste those minerals.
Love it. Well, we've got a lot of awesome questions for you, Barrett, here today. And the one that we never ask anybody that comes in our podcast is, how did you get into pickleball?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we never asked that one, right?
Yeah. No.
You know, oh my gosh, it seems like a million years ago, but my mom was into pickleball. So she started a full year before I did. So she started in, I think it was early 2016. And I mean, when I turned 30 in July in 2016, I kind of heard this knock at the door, and it was my brain telling me that I should probably start exercising before I get too much older. So that was kind of in my head throughout late 2016, like you need to start exercising and start doing that kind of stuff. And then I knew my mom was into pickleball, so I got her went to Amazon, searched for pickleball gifts. It was around Christmas time, and got her a bag and a shirt. And then 2 months later, I asked to go out and play, and we went out there and played, and the rest is history, as they say. It's kind of crazy, but it's total. Like when I think about things that's happened in my life, they're either post pickleball or pre pickleball. Like that's how momentous that day was, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. It's funny you say that too, because I can definitely see how when something like that changes in your life so significantly, you always use it like events as a barometer. Is that pre or post when that happened? So It sounds like obviously it made a huge impact on you right away.
Oh, it's changed everything. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So that's how I got started in pickleball.
Did you have any background in sports leading up to that? Any racket sport experience?
No, I played ping pong when I skipped class in college. I have a sense of humor as well. And I played a lot of golf. So I come from golf, as a lot of my listeners know. Jana is my co-host. We talk about golf a lot. We use a lot of golf analogies because that's where we come from. So, and my serve kind of looks like a golf swing. Really? So that's where I come from. But in terms of racket sports, I have no racket sport experience.
And it's funny, you actually hear that quite a bit. People are like, oh yeah, I started playing pickleball and it was my first real racket sport outside of maybe ping pong. Sometimes I feel like that actually gives you a little bit of an advantage because you might not have made some bad habits in it. You know, I played racquetball way back in the day, not very much, but I really enjoyed it. And I think that when I started playing pickleball, I was all wrist. And so I had to break that habit and get more into kind of, what do they say, the big muscles, using your shoulder a lot more and a lot less wrist.
Yeah, when I teach tennis people, you know, the biggest habit that they have to get away from is when they're at the kitchen line and they're dinking, they tend to step back with their right foot to do a forehand, you know, instead of either taking it out of the air or letting it bounce or whatnot. And so I guess I'm grateful that I didn't come from a previous sport, just because, you know, didn't have to break any of the habits, right?
Well, golf's a sport. I got to play golf in high school, and I basically just called it free golf because that's ultimately what it was.
Right.
Because when you're a high school kid, getting enough money together to go golfing, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I was on the golf team too in high school. I hated it, but I was.
Why didn't you like it?
Back then I did not like competing. I did not like competition. I was a total nerd kind of guy. I still am. You know, I like reading, and I was in the band. I was on the drum line. I read Wikipedia constantly. I'm just an information kind of guy, and I love giving out information. That's what I do with Pickleball Kitchen.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to get into a little bit more of the Pickleball Kitchen here stuff first, but it sounds like Webby, we might have some stuff going on on the socials.
Yeah, we've got a couple of comments here. We've got one on YouTube here from Leslie White. She says, I enjoy your show, guys. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Leslie. That was nice.
Yes.
And we also have a comment on Facebook from our good buddy Jackson Marzani, a.k.a. the Pickleball Kid. And he says, about to drop a video while wearing your merch. Loving the podcasts. Maybe another collaboration soon, ?
Oh, for sure. For sure, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody who hasn't heard the pickleball rap that Jackson, a.k.a. the Pickleball Kid, did, you got to check that out. He did a great job. And there's a couple cameos on there from a couple really cool dudes, really good hip-hop artists. You just want to check that out.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to you, Eddie.
All right. So obviously pickleball made, kind of a huge impact on your life, but what was your motivation or inspiration to actually start the Pickleball Kitchen?
So I was one of those guys. I was one of those kids in high school that loved writing papers. So I loved writing essays, and I love reading guides. So I love guides. Guide to anything. I think they're really interesting. The the organization of the information, the little infographics, the pictures, how people explain things. I love that kind of stuff. And so what I noticed online when I was trying to search for information, this was early 2017, is that there was really nothing out there that was very good, and it wasn't detailed, and it just wasn't up to snuff. It is now. There's tons of great stuff out there now, but so I looked at it as a sort of an opportunity to be able to get something out there, and I've been kind of a self-learner my whole life, so I've learned a lot of things on my own, and pickleball being the recent one. And I thought to myself, am I going to let this one go? Right. So I love this so much. I think this can really help people. Am I going to let this go and not teach people how to do it, or teach people something about pickleball? And I decided, no, I'm not going to do it for this one. So that was kind of the beginnings of Pickleball Kitchen in the early days. But that's developed over time. There's been many ups and downs, let me tell you.
Well, when you first came out with Pickleball Kitchen, it didn't have that name, right? Wasn't it named something else?
No, it was called Pickleball Genie, Genie. That was the first name. And that was a blog that had no WordPress theme. It was just a plain text website, basically. And I would go on there and just write about what I was learning. That's all I would do. And then I quit, actually, believe it or not. I quit for a while. And then in June 2019, I changed the domain name to Pickleball Kitchen. And that's when I started up in earnest, because at that point I had learned a lot. Right. And so I started writing. That's when I wrote my kitchen rule article, which is one of my most popular ones, and just kept writing for there. And then, of course, the podcast came in August.
Yeah. So you said that was 2018 when that happened?
This was 2017.
2017. Okay. Gotcha. Well, I was going to say, because you're at episode 55 of the podcast now?
61.
61. Okay. Geez. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
That's
crazy.
Insane. Yeah.
I know.
Every Monday morning, right? You keep coming out with that
every Monday
podcast?
morning, 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's insane.
I do forget sometimes. Like a couple Mondays ago, I accidentally had it set to 5 p.m. instead of 5 a.m. And I got emails and text messages like, dude, where's the podcast? Let's go. Come on. Like, I'm sorry.
It's always on my drive to work every Monday morning. That's what I look forward to, right?
Yeah, that's what people say.
Yeah.
They listen to it on the way. They listen to it when they fall asleep. They listen to it at work, that kind of stuff.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. One of the things that I like to read about that you write on the Pickleball Kitchen is about paddle reviews, basically, and you kind of going into the science behind it and how they, how they play or how they feel or whatnot. It sounds like you actually have quite the collection going on based on how many you've written about, though, huh?
Yes. Yeah. I have quite a few. I used to do that a lot. I used to be really into the paddle thing, but I'm not as much anymore.
Yeah.
I don't do that as much anymore just because it can be so easy to be like, oh man, just one more paddle and I'll be able to be like 4-5 or something like that.
Right.
And I don't want to give people that impression, and I don't want to forget about the important parts, which are the mindset, the technique, the shot selection, the strategy. That's what's really important, not necessarily your paddle choice. Paddle choice matters. Don't get me wrong. Like, if there's some people who really should not be using an elongated paddle, as an example. But I try not to get too much into that kind of stuff these days.
The message that I've picked up from a lot of your content about it is more find the paddle that you're comfortable with and use it. Where switching paddles all the time, it's probably not going to help your game. It could potentially hurt your game. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I know that from experience because I play with different paddles all the time to teach people about them. Yeah. That's part of the job, is learning about all these different paddles and letting people know about them. So I know from firsthand experience, it really screws things up. I mean, especially going from a handle heavy paddle to a top heavy paddle changes everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
So what is your paddle of choice right now that you're playing with?
The Prince Response Pro. It's
Okay.
Simone Jardim's paddle. I've gotten a lot of people onto that paddle, and they love it, and I love it. It's amazing. It's 8 ounces, but it's more handle heavy, so it's not really top heavy. That's just what I prefer. So
Well, it's
that's
funny.
what I use right now.
I actually switched in December over to the Tangent Pro, the PaddleTech Tangent Pro, which I've heard is almost identical to it. It's the same shape. I think mine was 8.1 ounces. I played on the Prince Response, and it was very similar. And I love that paddle. There's no way I could switch back to anything else.
Yeah, they're pretty. I think they're pretty similar. It's a good one. It's a good paddle.
Yeah, I've been happy with it. So
good. And that's what matters. That's
right.
what matters.
Yeah, especially when you find something that you like. You know, I know Webby,
Yeah.
you just picked up the Bantam EXL Pro, right?
I did. Yep,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's a good one. That's a heavy one.
Yeah, I actually like a little extra weight. I've found that I'm okay with the lighter paddles, but I personally prefer a little extra weight on mine.
Yep.
And I believe the one I have is 8.4 ounces, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's up
Wow,
there. Yeah.
that's up there.
Anything going
Yes,
on
indeed.
in the socials there, Webby?
Yes, there is actually. Got to give a shout out to Michelle Cook. She's a good friend of ours. She
Hey, Michelle.
constantly tunes in. She said, "Hi guys." We also have a message here from Kim Sharpton. He says, "Pickleball is life, bro." I agree. It definitely is life. He also goes on to say, this is regarding to what you guys were talking about a little earlier. He said, "That's what makes pickleball so special. Most folks don't have a sports background and end up picking up the game immediately," which I feel is absolutely correct.
Yes.
Yep.
And then we have another comment here from Mike Baumgardner. He said, "Keep up the good work, fellas." And then he's got a question for you. He says, "Kitch, who's the toughest player you've played and why?"
Ooh.
Kitch, is that me?
Yeah, I think he's talking about
I think
you.
that's you.
Yeah.
The toughest player I've played. Oh man, it's got to be Dave Fleming, senior pro Dave Fleming. He's been on the show twice.
Mhm.
He just takes me out to lunch. Oh my gosh. He's got the spin. He's got this two-handed backhand. It's ridiculous. And funny, he's actually like in the office building across from me, which is hilarious. But he's probably the toughest opponent I've ever faced. Others, Corey Kelly, I've played against him. He was on the podcast. We can probably talk about that. Oh man, Dusty Stevenson. He's destroyed me utterly a couple of times as well. Yeah,
All right.
those are probably my top three.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
the question, Mike.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, actually, you know, you kind of bring up that Dave's been on the podcast twice. I really want to get into your podcast because I'm not just saying it because you're on the show. I really am a huge fan of it. I think that it is a very well done podcast. I love the content. I love the production value of it. I look forward to actually having an excuse to have to drive somewhere for an hour just so I can actually listen to it. So I just want to start off by saying it's solid, man. It really is a pretty impressive podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You've actually had some pretty impressive guests on the show lately. One that really stood out to me was Tyson McGuffin. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a really good one. So Tyson was here doing a clinic in Rockwall, which is a little town that's way east of Dallas, like probably 35, 40 minutes. Maybe not that long, but it's a ways out there. And he was doing a clinic, and it was the last day of the clinic, and I got Dave Fleming mentioned it to him. You know, hey, I've been on this podcast, and so did Randy Coleman was there as well. So they both convinced Tyson to, you know, hey, you should get on the podcast. You know, it'd be fun. So I drive all the way over to Rockwall to the La Quinta, and I go up to his room, and we sit on his bed, and I have my mixing board on the desk, the bedside table, and we just sat there and chat. We just chatted about pickleball, and it was totally impromptu. I had nothing prepared. I had a couple of questions in my mind, but no, it was good. Super cool dude. Super cool dude. I mean, really enjoyed it. You know, it was great. It was awesome. Funny thing during that episode, we've never had any audio issues. But we did have that episode, which was that I plugged my mic. I typically plug my mic into port 1. So I'm port 1, Jana's port 2. And that's how we do it every single time. I have the blue one, she has the black one. Well, I accidentally plugged mine into port 2 and his was in port 1. And so one thing about these my guests is that I don't think they're used to talking into a mic, so they talk really loud, way louder than they should. That's very common. And so I'm trying to like turn Tyson down, when in reality I'm turning myself down.
Oh man,
the whole time. I'm turning him up.
When did you finally realize that they were swapped?
Like probably 30 minutes into the podcast, and I was like, oh, and I stopped and I was like, oh dude, I think I have the mic switch. I sat there and twiddled with it, but that was the knock on wood. That's the first audio issue we've had. So it was great. It was a great podcast. And again, like super cool, dude.
Yeah. I've only kind of met him just in passing a couple of times when I've been at events with him. Seemed great. One thing that I loved about his message that he was putting out there was that, excelling in pickleball for him is a balance, right? He doesn't spend all of his athletic time or exercise time playing. He does yoga, he does weight training, he focuses on eating well. It's almost like he sees all of those things leading to him being better at pickleball rather than just doubling down and spending all of his time on pickleball itself.
Yeah, he seems to have a very well balanced life.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems like he's just totally focused and okay with the way he spends his time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this it's hard to explain, but it's like, I don't work on Pickleball Kitchen all the time. I do other things. If I did, I would burn out and I would want to just jump into a volcano. But it was kind of surprising though, because I was like, wait, well, when do you go drill? And then he was like, probably like 4 p.m. for a couple hours or whatever. I don't know what time he said, but I was expecting, he gets up at 5 a.m. and, puts on, Eye of the Tiger or whatever song, Rocky music thing, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. And he's out the courts at 6 a.m. and he works until 11:30 and then chicken and rice for lunch and then back on the courts at 1, but it was very balanced, spends time with his kid and stuff like that. And he's very successful.
I thought that was a really cool message, very inspiring to hear.
Yeah, it was.
Another episode that you recently had that I thought was absolutely amazing. And anybody out there listening, you have got to go listen to this because it is probably one of the best podcast episodes outside of pickleball, just in general, one of the best messages I've heard on a podcast. And that's when you had Corey Kelly on with you. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh my God. That podcast was just unreal. It was episode 55, just so that people know. And this is one that, I'm kind of shy about my content. I don't like to go into Pickleball Forum and be like, hey, watch my stuff. But this is one where I'm not shy because it's just that amazing. Corey he's a veteran. He has PTSD. And when he came home from the war, he was not in tune with himself. So he was disconnected from his family. He was disconnected from himself. He was not himself in any way. And he eventually found pickleball. And, he started playing and really wanted to get good. And he's super competitive dude, and he started getting better and it changed him. It changed him completely. And then, he got his family back. Not like I'm making it sound like his family like abandoned him or something. Right. That's not the way it was. He was like disconnected from them, and they were so happy to have him back and totally changed his life. And a lot of people texted me and they were like, oh, I haven't cried that much in a while, yada, yada, yada. It's like, oh, I put my mascara on, it was dripping down my face and all that sort of stuff. So it was a really great episode. And it was a good reminder that pickleball is not just a sport, right? I mean, this is a huge community that we're creating, and it's something that's really special, and it's something that we need to like protect. We go into details about, all the petty stuff that can happen on the court and all that sort of junk, So yeah, definitely check it out. It's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, I would got to say, like, I could imagine being in the same room recording with him. There were a couple of times where he got pretty emotional on it, and you could just feel the authenticity of him coming through. I don't. If I was there, I would have had to have looked away or been choking up myself, man. Like, how was that?
You know, I mean, I can't speak for Jana, but yeah, it was pretty emotional, you know. But we were so into the conversation,
Yeah.
and being the guy that has the mic, you know, I have to be kind of in there and, you know, ready to ask questions and stuff like that. But yeah, it was intense. Don't get me wrong. You could hear the dryness in his mouth from the anxiety that he was feeling, you know. You can hear it in his voice. And yeah, he got super emotional. We didn't edit anything. We took out a few things that we typically take out a few bits, but it was intense. It was, and I remember I was driving home. It was dark. I was driving home and I texted Jana at a red light, and I was like, "Do you feel really good right now?" "I feel really good." And she was like, "Yeah, I feel amazing." It's like, "Yeah, that was a good one. That was the best one by far, by far."
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually I was on my lunch break at work eating at my desk when I was listening to that episode, and I almost had to turn it off because like, talk about having the feels. I had all of the feels for sure. I had goosebumps, the hair was standing up, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not afraid to admit that I almost got choked up a little bit listening to that the episode with Corey Kelly. I mean, that was an awesome episode, and I was chatting with you before. Like, I seriously think I want to use that episode just to show like how impactful and how awesome pickleball can be to people, because it's not just a game. I mean, this thing, it's a lifestyle, and in his case, it's a lifesaver. And I'm sure that that's the case for many people out there. So yeah, incredible episode. That was awesome.
Yeah, and no one else saw. Only I saw the emails and the comments that we got from people who were saying, "My brother has PTSD. I think I'm going to try to use this to help him." You know, and oh my gosh, you've inspired me to help so and so, and stuff like that. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
just amazing. And we didn't know. We did not expect this to happen. I guess I can tell the original Jana story if y'all want, but you know, she never expected this would happen, and neither did I. You know.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. It was actually well timed that I listened to it too, because sometimes you're going to run into politics, you're going to run into crap on the court of, you know, I wish they would play right, or God, my partner really screwed up tonight, and all this petty crap that happens sometimes when you're trying to improve your game. And then I listened to that and I was like, man, get some perspective, dude. Like,
nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. Just go out there and have fun.
What he said, and I've had some trying moments over the last couple of weeks with some poor tournament experience. And when I was driving home, I said the one thing that he said in the interview was, "At least it's not a bullet."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what he said. And that's, oh man, that's so stuck in my head.
Yep.
So I'll probably be saying that for the rest of my life. Right. Perspective. Yeah. It's just perspective.
Yeah. And I think you nailed it. It definitely added a lot of perspective. So
definitely.
There's a couple other things too that I feel like have really resonated from your podcast with me. The most recent one was about failure, and you talked about two things. One was failing forward, and then find your tribe. And those two things really kind of stuck out to me. What inspired you to want to talk about that?
Probably because I haven't done well in tournaments lately. Really. I mean, look, like, this is the most I've ever talked about myself ever, about the things that I do. So this is very odd for me. But until this past weekend, I haven't done well in tournaments, and it's been really rough. And I'm really not that competitive. My priority is the podcast and the YouTube channel and the website, and whether or not people get use out of my content. That's my priority. I don't care about the medals, you know, but I do want some success there. And so I've learned a lot about failure over the years, and I failed myself at previous business things. And so I wanted to talk about it. And when you fail, like I said, you have to fail forward, which means that you can't fall flat on your face. There has to be something that picks you back up, and there has to be something that you've learned from that failure. All right, failure is an opportunity in disguise because it will teach you so much. It's incredible how much it'll teach you. And that's why you have to find your tribe. Because if you don't have people around you to give you perspective, and sometimes it's harsh perspective, then you're gonna have a lot of trouble getting back up again. So I have to thank Jana for that. After my bad tournament performance, she talked to me and gave me perspective on things that I didn't realize. And so we wanted to share that on the podcast.
Yeah, Jana seems like the type of person who you can always count on to give you very direct, honest feedback, but do it in a way that's also like very nice and sweet. Is that an accurate portrayal of her?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's like probably one of the most passionate people I've ever met. So just into it, boundless energy, and as we have joked many times on the podcast, she is quite a few years wiser than I am.
Nice.
That's how we put it. So it's an interesting pair. I guess maybe I can go into the original story of that if you want.
Yeah, please, man.
I mean, I had done 7 episodes. It was probably late 2017. And I decided that it was getting really hard doing the podcast just by myself. I mean, it's really difficult doing it by yourself. It was boring and awful. And so I literally sat down next to her. We were at Open Play. We were both, we were okay players at that point in time. And I was like, hey, I've got this like podcast thing. It gets like 2 downloads a day. You want to like co-host it? Right. And she's like, sure. It's like, sure. So we do it in the evening time. So she came over after whatever work she had to do. It was in the evening. And man, she just slid right into it. And it was like the way we did the podcast then is the same way we do it now. And we've improved, obviously, but she is so good with words and so good with language and so like just easy on the mic. I do bloopers all the time. I mean, ridiculous stuff, horrible stuff. And she never does. What you hear on the episodes is what actually happened in real time.
She's a first taker kind of person.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm envious of people
her
like
bloopers
that.
in.
Yeah.
We leave her bloopers in because it's a thing. It's like an occurrence, right?
Yeah.
So
a Jana-ism.
Yeah. So we have lots of running jokes on the podcast too. Like we had a friend go out to Arizona one time, and he was playing Open Play out there, and they asked him, "Oh, where are you from?" And he said, "Oh, I'm from Dallas, the Dallas area." And they go, "Oh yeah, we listened to a podcast from this guy and this girl from there." And he goes, and the lady goes, "We really like Barrett. We like Barrett and all, but we really like that Jana girl."
Oh, that's
nice.
Funny.
And so now we have a running joke on that as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So have you polled the audience to see like who's their preference?
No, we haven't. I mean, it's a joke, but I mean, I guess we could. It'd be interesting to see. It would probably be Jana.
That's funny.
Yeah, I gotta admit, she does add a great element to the show. I thought you did a great job on your own, but once you added her to the show, it just added a little extra something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been you guys definitely have great chemistry. I love listening to the two of you. And like Eddie said earlier, like genuinely, you have one of the best podcasts out there, especially for pickleball, but just in general, I absolutely love listening to your podcasts on my way to and from work. So definitely a great job there. I want to give a little shout out here to Eugenio. He's watching on the Pickleball Kitchen YouTube channel, and he said that I've followed you since 40 subs. I'm assuming that means Pickleball Kitchen, but maybe he's talking about Eddie and Webby. Who knows? But no, I'm pretty sure he's talking about the Pickleball Kitchen. So he's
a long
old
time
school
ago.
follower.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, you've got a lot more subscribers than 40 now. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
yeah. Thank you, Eugenio.
And then yeah, thanks, Eugenio. And then we've got a comment here from Jack Veruso. He says, Eddie and Webby, thanks for having... Oh, you know Jack?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a veteran. He's been listening to my podcast since day 2, way back when.
Oh, nice. Nice. He says, Eddie and Webby, thanks for having Barrett on your podcast. I look forward to hearing Barrett and Jana every Monday on Pickleball Kitchen Podcast. I got hit with the pickleball today and quoted Corey, at least it wasn't a bullet.
That's right. God, that's going to become a thing, isn't it?
Yep. I really do think that's going to become a thing.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was hilarious that he said, I'm pretty sure he said shooty poops. Is that one of the things he said?
Yeah. So he tries to be a gentleman on the court. So whenever he makes an unforced error, instead of saying something profane, he goes, shooty poop. And kind of like, or he'll go, tickle britches.
Yeah.
Just hit the ball. Come on.
I love it.
So
I love it. And I'm going to use that.
Hashtag tickle bridges.
Yeah. Tickle britches. I love it. Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. And then one thing, I was listening to a few of your other episodes, and one of your very early episodes of the podcast, you mentioned something about how you were hoping and wanting to get your podcasts over 40 minutes in length. And Eddie and I have like the exact opposite problem. We're always like trying to get our podcasts like under 40 minutes or like close to 40 minutes, at least under an hour. We've been struggling, but I feel like we made some tweaks to our show. So I think we can, we're good at getting it to right around an hour now. But before we were pushing, we were getting over 2 hours for a while there. So
did I really say that?
You did.
Wow. Yep. Maybe that's when I was solo. I don't remember.
It was. Yeah, it was when you were solo. It was when you were solo.
Oh, okay,
yep.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's
awesome. And then I do have one more that just came here. Hot off the presses. Here's a message on YouTube from Leslie White. She says that episode with Corey was the best. Love your show, Barrett. I hope when you come to town, you will come play at Wolverine Pickleball. That's a group out in the Ann Arbor, Saline area.
Where's that? What state is that in?
That's in Michigan. That's near where I am. Actually, yeah. The very first gold medal, actually the first and only gold medal I've ever earned while playing pickleball was during one of the Wolverine pickleball tournaments. I did a 3.0 tournament.
Oh, nice.
They have a real good group there. They're just getting started, but man, they've put on some really good tournaments, and I'm actually doing a tournament with the Wolverine group coming up in April. I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff from the social medias. It's awesome to have that, interaction with listeners and stuff. So
yeah, totally.
I want to talk about YouTube a little bit here, because you also have some really great content on YouTube as well. Do you have any background in video producing or editing or anything like that? Or did you kind of one of those things that you self-taught and learned yourself?
Yeah. So I graduated with a degree in graphic design. We did a little bit of video stuff, but I started doing freelance video editing very quickly after I graduated. So I have a ton of experience with video, like compositing and like post-production and all that sort of stuff. So I'm super familiar with all that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can tell because obviously the production quality of, your videos is pretty awesome. There's a lot of pickleball content out there, and I'm excited to see that. I feel like over the last 6 months or so, the level of time that you can tell people are putting into the production quality of their videos is starting to go up and up. And so when I came across your channel, I was like, oh, nice, man. This is done very well.
Yeah, there's a ton of really great channels out there, and we all have our own little thing and our own little niche, like of course Primetime, right? Mm-hmm. Amazing channel. Everyone needs to sub to that. You've got Into Pickle, you've got Pickleball Deb, of course, CJ Johnson, Third Shot Sports. There's lots of really, really great stuff out there, but I try to make mine a little bit more like cultural, I guess you could say. Like I do I put music in my videos, I leave my bloopers in there too, just to try to be a little bit more relatable, and I'm not some pickleball hotshot, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's fun, but it's time consuming. Oh,
Oh yeah, I mean,
It's
you know,
insane how like people don't have no clue how time consuming it is to do
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah,
But it's
Webby
good
has
stuff
put
though. It's
out.
helpful.
Oh yeah, well that's another thing too I really like about it is how your videos are very you know what you're getting into. It's the authentic Barrett we're getting on there, and it's for a reason, right? There's no, you don't have to like parse through it to find out what is the intent of the video. You know, and it's done in a very well, you know, done in a very nice way. You know, very pleasing to the eye and everything.
Thank you.
And in fact, we actually have a sample clip that we wanted to play here
Cool.
real quick from one of your
Cool.
videos. Let's go ahead and pull it up here.
Hey guys, Barrett here. Welcome back to another video. Today, talking about something quite interesting, which is what kind of ready position should you have when you're at the kitchen line? The paddle out in front of me, so I'm ready to hit things just like you're seeing it. Especially taking balls out of the air is really easy when you do it this way. See, that's what I'm afraid of.
Love it, man.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a royalty-free music right there from Epidemic Sound. They are lifesavers, let me tell you.
Nice.
That's who we
Oh,
use
yeah.
too, man. I every time I make a video, I'm always going on there because I personally I think audio and music can make or break a video, and I love it. I love to figure out the two. And Epidemic Sound is fantastic. They're not sponsoring this video or anything, but I absolutely love
No.
them.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Geniuses.
lately I've been using a lot more of the pre-made royalty-free music. Towards the beginning, I was trying to like get fancy and make my own music using GarageBand, and it was cool and all, but like it's so time-consuming to try to like create your own music, and then it's just in the long run, it's really not as good as what's out there royalty-free. So might as well just
Sure,
get the good stuff
sure.
that's royalty-free that's out there. But yeah, I love
Yeah.
that video clip. I love that you include stuff like that, where like if you make a blooper or something like that, you keep it in. And I love the record scratch sound effect that you use. But yeah, I
That's
like
what it
how
felt like.
real. Yeah, but I love how real and authentic it is. And yeah, you've got some great videos out there, like things such as like how to pick the right kind of shoe to wear for indoor and outdoor pickleball. A lot of paddle discussions about paddles, and then like we saw there, how to stand at the kitchen. Just a lot of great stuff. So definitely, if anybody has not checked out the Pickleball Kitchen YouTube channel, I highly recommend it. A lot of great tips out there.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And I guess this would probably be a good time to say that I am currently in the works of designing a 9 or 10 part beginner series. So it's going to be a massive video series just for beginners. They can start from video 1, go all the way to video 9 or 10, and it will tell them absolutely everything they need to know: the rules, how to play,
Nice.
what is pickleball, how to find games, shoes, paddles, yada yada. So
Well, that's
that
awesome.
explains
great.
my
That's
lack
awesome.
of uploads lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that'd be quite an undertaking. That's for sure.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
we
do
actually
you-
got a comment here on Facebook from Colin Smythe or Colin Smith. They want to know, Barrett, what software do you use for your videos?
I use Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, and for the audio, I use Adobe Audition.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And
I've-
Photoshop.
I've been wanting to transition over to the Adobe Suite, but Webby and I are both Final Cut users, and we have for years. And it's so hard to try and make that transition to learn a whole new software to use.
Yeah, it's rough. That's rough. The cool thing about Adobe, I know we're getting off track here, but they're all the programs are intertwined. So if I have an audio file, an Adobe Audition, I edit that, save it, it'll automatically update in Premiere Pro if it's been imported in there, which is amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I were to ever change over from Final Cut, Adobe, the Adobe editing stuff is definitely where I would go, no
Yeah.
doubt.
It's good. It's good.
For sure. So, as you may or may not know, here at the Eddie and Webby Show, we have a team of people that dig into the backgrounds of our guests, and they dig deep. And so we have some personal things about you, Barrett, that we want to get into. So, are you ready for it?
Oh, really? Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So actually you told me this. you mentioned that you got a degree in computer. Did you say it was computer graphics? Was that it?
Graphic design.
Graphic design. But you actually were a college dropout at one point before that, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah. I went in 2005. I graduated from high school and went to Texas Tech in Lubbock, and I did that for a year. Did horribly, and then in my third semester, I dropped out in the middle of October, and it was horrible, bad time. But then got a job in January at CompUSA. Who remembers that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So got a job there, worked full time, and then that shut down, of course, went bankrupt. And I got a job at Golf Galaxy, and then that fall went back to community college. So yeah, I was a college dropout.
Okay. Well, obviously things seem to have worked out well for you. How long was it between when you dropped out and when you went back to school?
That process took, I think it was 2 years.
Yeah.
No, a year. It took a year. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was a year at community college. I got straight A's at community college, and then I was back into university in fall 2008.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Before the pickleball kitchen, you actually had some previous businesses. Do you want to talk about those?
Sure. Yeah. So I did a ton of freelance video stuff. So I did video editing. I did full blown video production, not with cameras, but just digitally only, with like voiceovers and stuff like that for companies and stuff like that. And, but after that, I had this idea for a book, and it was called The Cigar Legend. And I was really into cigars. I like them every now and then these days, but I used to be really into cigars. And I thought, man, there's not like a really good leather bound, high quality cigar journal out there. You know, I'm all about really super high quality stuff. And so I designed one, and I got it manufactured, and I probably worked out on that for like a year, and totally failed miserably, but learned a lot. So that was my previous attempt at an online business.
Okay. What are some of the things that you learned with that whole experience?
You really have to validate your product early on.
Okay.
Like you really have to. And by validate, like we talked about this on the podcast, the episode 61, I think it was, the failure one, was that you either take the mini fail early or you take the big fail later. Which one do you want? The mini fail really hurts. It hurts your ego, right? Because it's like, you know what? Your amazing idea is not going to work. Sorry. But the big fail is you just lost $30,000, right?
Right.
So you have to pick one of those. That's how validation works.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did not validate the book very well. Whereas now what I'm doing with my video analysis service, which should be launched soon on my site, is I'm actually doing it with people, and they're looking at it and they're like, oh, that was amazing. And I was like, okay, you want to pay for another one? And if they say yes, it's validated. If they say no, it's not. But it's all about, you know, getting your ego, because my ego was just through the roof with the Cigar Legend, right? I thought, oh man, everyone's going to love this thing. It's leather bound, looks super cool. It's got like gold foil on it, you know, all this sort of stuff. But I did not validate that thing. So I was scared. I was scared of the failure, right? I was scared. So I took the big failure later on. But as I've said in the last podcast episode, it really wasn't a big failure because I learned so much.
Yeah.
So I failed forward, and that's when Pickleball Kitchen came into focus.
So it's a good thing that it failed when it did.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now we're all blessed with this.
Yeah. So Pickleball Kitchen did not start as a business. I want to make sure that people understand that. That was just like, I'm just writing about what I love, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I'm grateful that you failed at that, so that way we can get this this amazing pickleball content. So
sure.
You know, before we let you go here, Barrett, Webby had one topic that really stood out to him from your podcast that he wanted to talk with you about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, one episode I absolutely recommend in particular. I believe it was episode 40, the one where you guys talk about preparing for a tournament. I absolutely loved that episode, and I really wish I would have listened to that before my first couple of tournaments, because you guys covered a lot of great topics. So anybody out there that is preparing for their first tournament or has debated on doing a tournament, or even people that have only done a few, and you always have like a lot of stress beforehand. I highly recommend that episode. A lot of great tips. One thing I absolutely loved that you guys brought up is the fact about like setting a specific goal for that tournament, not necessarily winning a gold medal, but just like something to work on or something you want to achieve during a tournament. That way you're still a winner, but like in a different way. I thought that was such a great tip. And so like, let's say you want to try to just, I don't know, get an ATP during a tournament or something. If you get that, you won that tournament, something like that. I totally related to that. And I feel like that would be the absolute best way to approach a tournament. Like, don't necessarily focus on having to win that gold medal. Just think of a goal beforehand of something that you would like to achieve during that tournament. Maybe something that's not easy to do, but something that's like actually doable. That way, like, you do at least feel accomplished during the tournament, even if you don't come home with a medal. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like pickleball technique related, right? You have to take home something with you from the tournament. If it's a medal, that's great, but it needs to be something, right? So if you lose your first 2 matches and you're out, you got to figure out, okay, what am I going to take home with me? Because I just spent $40 on this thing, right? I need to get some kind of value out of it. And so what I talk about is you have to mop up something while you're there. You got to mop up the experience from something or someone. So, go talk to the higher level players, ask them questions, poke their ego, right? If you talk about how great they are, they're going to tell you stuff, right? Learn something, get something out of it. That's really the key to that kind of stuff. If you don't have like me, if you don't have competitive experience before pickleball, it's going to be really rough playing in a tournament for the first time. You're going to be really nervous. You're going to be terrified. You're going to be intimidated. And if you're not prepared for total abysmal failure, it's going to be bad. It's going to be really rough. It's going to be really, really rough, So you got to take home something from that experience,
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. And I really wish I would have gone into my first few tournaments with that mentality, because so far for me, it's been like, I got to win gold, at least bronze. I got to win a medal of some sort. And here I am. I've done 4 tournaments in a row. I got 4th place, so just shy of getting a medal. So I felt defeated. But yeah, if I just would have like gone in with like a good specific goal other than getting a medal, and just have like getting a medal be a bonus, it would have made it so much better. And I feel like it would have cut down on so much pressure that I put on myself, like unnecessary pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how you reduce nerves. I mean, one way you reduce nerves is by breathing, of course, deep breathing, that intentional deep breathing, but also to say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to score 1 point. Just 1 point. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to score 1 point. And like when you score the point, you're like, oh my God, I didn't get pickled, right? And it's, I score a point. Oh my God, great. And then you score another point, right? And that's bonus. See, that's what's so cool about it, is that you have a standard. And then because you're a good player, and because you're a good player, you're going to blow your standard out of the water, right? And then you go home feeling accomplished. That is how you set proper expectations for a tournament. So,
for sure. However, I am glad that Eddie and I did not have the goal of scoring a point in our first ever tournament round, because that didn't happen for our very first ever tournament round together. It was a best 2 out of 3. And we lost 2 games without scoring a point.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yeah, we got our butts kicked. But you know what? I'm so glad that happened, though, because that was kind of the fire that got lit under my butt, at least, to first of all fall in love with the game, and second of all to realize, like, oh man, you really need to work. If this is something you want to do well at, you got to work on it and just enjoy the heck out of the journey.
Well, good job on failing forward.
Yep.
The prime example.
Yep.
I like it.
But I do gotta clear up, though. In the losers bracket, we scored at least 3 points, though, so that was a win.
All right.
Yep.
That's 300% better.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
A big number.
Love it. Well, that's good stuff, man. Yeah. You talked about goals. I think it was right before the end of the year. And that episode really resonated with me. I am very fortunate. My wife has her master's degree in sports psychology. And so she does get a chance to work with me a lot on the mental side of it or whatnot. And one thing that you said was systems versus goals. And it's almost like, if you want to set a goal to become a 4.0 player, it's like, great. Well, what does that mean? There's a lot of systems that you have to put in place to be able to get you to that point. And you can't control whether you win or lose a game, but you can control how consistent you are with your shots. You can control how well you are at reading the court. There's all these things that you can control, and it's better to set goals at that versus setting goals for things that are just kind of like ideas and aren't really things that you're in control of.
Yeah, so we talked about goals versus systems, and I first want to say that there's nothing really wrong with goals. The problem comes when you have just a goal and nothing else, right? So the typical example is, I want to lose 10 pounds by June 1st. Well, the problem is, why not 11?
Right. Yeah.
Why not 12? How about 13? Right? So when you set a goal like that is specific like that, I want to lose 10 pounds by July 1st, you are either setting yourself up for failure or you're underselling yourself. So you're doing either of those two things, because you could either may not be able to get there, or you do way better than that. And the thing about doing way better than that is that you probably won't do that because your goal is 10, right? So you see, right. Compare losing 20 pounds to 10 pounds. Right? If you're going to lose 10 pounds, you're only going to do a certain amount. If you're going to lose 20 pounds, you're going to do this much, right? Mm-hmm. So the trick is to create a system to where you can lose this much. Let me shift my hand. There we go.
Yeah.
Right? So you create a system, and that becomes the goal.
Yeah.
So, the other problem with goals is we know from New Year's resolutions, all the studies done about them, is that most of them fail miserably. And most of the people who do achieve them don't actually continue doing them, because it was just a willpower goal and not a system of habits and lifestyle changes that last for a lifetime. So if you want to get two gold medals this year, first of all, ask yourself, why not 3? And then ask yourself, okay, what systems am I going to put into place that are going to create this kind of success, right?
Yep. Love it. I love
nothing wrong with goals. Nothing wrong with it. But the more specific they are, I think you can run into trouble a little bit.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. I love the mental side of it too. That's one of the things about pickleball that I love, is not only the physical, the social, but the mental aspect of it. And, realizing that your mental state can make you play amazing against some competitors that you never thought you could play well against, or it can make you crap the bed. You don't really know.
Right.
I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you and how mentally prepared you are.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Barrett, this has been awesome, man.
I enjoyed it, man. It was fun.
Oh, good. Yeah, we definitely, I think we need to have you on again, because I feel like there's so many things that we weren't able to get to. But I really want to make sure that you have the opportunity to tell any of the listeners that are out there how they can kind of follow you in the Pickleball Kitchen and all the great stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, so I have a ton of content, kind of a ridiculous amount of content. Most of it you can find through pickleballkitchen.com. I have an email list on the right side of the page. There's a beginner and an intermediate email course. The beginner one, I think, is 7 weeks long, and the beginner one is 6 weeks long. It comes out every Monday morning. So if you subscribe to that, you'll get that. It's all free. If I ever sell anything to you, I will explicitly let you know that I'm trying to sell you something. So don't worry about that. And then, of course, I have the podcast. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on Spotify. That gets released every Monday morning at 5 a.m. And then I have, of course, the YouTube channel, which is a little bit less consistent because of how time consuming it is. You can find that at youtube.com/c/pickleballkitchen. And I do have an Instagram account. I've done absolutely zero with it. Hold on, let me shift my hand. There we go. 0 with that so far. Someday I will, but yeah, you can follow me on there. You can also friend me on Facebook if you want to follow me through that as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on, man. Can't wait to finally eventually meet you in person. This has been awesome, and we definitely appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it. I will definitely have to come on again. I would love to.
Sounds good, man.
For sure. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Right,
See you soon.
Another awesome guest on the Eddie and Webby podcast, huh?
Yes, very much so. I still don't know how we keep doing it. How do we keep getting these great guests?
I'm telling you, people feel bad for us. They see us, they see our show, and they're just like, "Oh, I feel bad for these two guys. I'm gonna come on their show."
Right?
And,
yeah. I haven't done charity work in a while. I'm gonna go ahead and do some charity work. Show up on the Eddie and Webby channel.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that was awesome, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There was a ton of content there, a ton of good stuff. I know I certainly enjoyed it. So. Whew.
Yeah, that was great, man. He was such a great guest, and I love his podcast. So seriously, if any of you have not checked out his podcast, the Pickleball Kitchen podcast, you need to, with Barrett and Gianna. They are awesome people. They cover so much great pickleball content. It's crazy. Pretty much anything you can think of, I bet they cover it. They're always coming up with new stuff. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Absolutely. What else are we talking about for the podcast? Anything? I feel like we pretty much covered everything, huh?
Yeah, I think that's about it. We're still over an hour. One of these days we'll get our show under an hour, but I feel like the only way to stay under an hour is to stop having good guests on the show, because we have such good guests that, like, I don't want to stop those conversations. We easily could have talked to them for another hour, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. Hopefully everybody out there thought it was great. And yeah, I think that's about it for today.
Cool. Well, as you guys know, go ahead and stay tuned, because as soon as we go out with this, we're going to jump right into the post show, which is Dinking Around with Eddie and Webby. And you might have a chance to come on the show. Let us know if you're interested, because we'd love to have you. And on that note, I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
See ya.